to work on our.
Sorry.
You hear me?
It's the Academy Awards.
Yes, with many of you, including Deb, and we got to work for our neighborhood. We've made a big difference when it comes to traffic, when it comes to the beach walk, when it comes to having elected people here discussing their issues, and when it comes to our community coming together to have a loud voice. And that's why I'm running, because I am a unifier. I am honored that I have been endorsed by many people, including the only 3 people that will still be on the commission definitively after November. The Residents First Coalition of Alex Fernandez, Laura Dominguez, and Kristen Rosa Gonzalez. Public safety is also one of the most paramount parts of why I'm running, to make our city safer. And I'm also honored that I've been endorsed by the Miami Beach Fraternal Order of Police, because they trust me to do whatever it takes to keep our city and our community safe. I'm a longtime member of Miami Beach. I was first elected to the commission back in 2006, back when this young guy asked me to appoint him to the police committee and gave him his first taste of politics back in the day. I served 3 different times on the commission, and I have been running for mayor now for quite some time. This wasn't a last-minute decision. This is something that I believe in and that I'm going to make happen. Finally, I am a board-certified condominium and plan development lawyer. It is a central part of what I do and what our neighborhood needs. So I want to put that to work for all of you. I'm here today because I've been endorsed by a lot of people. I know almost everybody in the room, but I want all of your votes, and I'm going to work hard to earn them. Your friend and neighbor, Michael Gongora. Have a good evening.
There's a little over 15 members that are online. And I gotta say thank you to all of you, because we had over 30 last night participating in the discussion about traffic with FPL, the city, Commissioner Fernandez, and others. We had Public Works and the police and everyone discussing 41st Street, 50th to 63rd, and it was a wonderful, productive meeting. I think a lot of them came out, a lot of good came out of that meeting. And Alicia, thank you for being at the City Commission meeting early this morning and representing MBNA, and for your statement that's now posted for the members to read on our
Oh,
chat.
Annie, I'm sorry.
Vice Mayor Minor is the person.
Great, Vice Mayor Minor, are you there? Are you also at the commission meeting?
He's going to be chatting.
Hello? Yes, hi. So my name is Robert. I'm actually the aide to Vice Mayor Minor, and I'm just on this call on his behalf.
Thank you, Robert, for being here. I only had one question for Vice Mayor Minor today. It was if he was going to throw his name into the hat too for mayor. I just got to know who we're going to be dealing with over these next few months. I'm just kidding. Thank you for being with us today, and we're going to go ahead and begin our agenda. So we do have quorum. The meeting is called to order. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October, November, and January, October, November of 2022 and January 2023 as posted on our website?
You're making. Yeah, Alicia, make the motion. I'll second. Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any discussion? Approval of minutes has passed. Okay. Is there anyone that would like to share open up to member comments before we hand it off to our guest? We can get the presentation up in the meantime.
Absolutely.
Any comments from any of our members? Anything that you'd like for us to discuss today? We haven't had an opportunity to discuss last night or on our one-on-ones.
So maybe you can explain what he's setting up, why we're doing this meeting, even though there's a city commission meeting going on.
That's very true. So normally, MBNA does not host meetings on city commission days. We forego from holding meetings. It's probably another reason why folks may be confused as to why we're hosting this meeting. And the reason why is because there are certain, we have several agencies that govern different aspects of the beach, and the county plays a critical role in our beach and in our traffic signalization and making major projects happen for us, infrastructure projects. And our commissioner, I mean, Higgins is also one of our biggest advocates with the state agency, FDOT. And so looking at all of the county items and the aspects that that agency governs, we wanted to have a meeting that was devoted to them and to the updates that District 5 and could provide us.
Sure. Thanks, everybody. Wow, it's so awesome. Over here. On. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. Great to be here in person. Happy, and to you all on Zoom. Hello as well. I don't know, where do I need to be? Is it
Anywhere they can see you, anywhere. It's called the owl.
That's what
that thing is what's,
Yeah.
that's recording me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So that's a good position right there.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just gonna back away. So you can see the screen. It's not even giving me the creeps, the owl.
Because they can see your backside there.
All right, where do you want? This is very confusing. Okay,
No, but there she's gone.
all right, how about that?
No.
No.
Come back, come back, come back.
Come back. Okay, all right.
See her over there?
I kind of see I don't
They
know.
see you.
All right, okay. Hi, everyone. You're gonna mostly look at the slides, and that is good. That way you don't have to look at me. All right. Hi, everybody. It's been a while since you've been here in person. There is a lot going on at Miami-Dade County. I wanted to be sure I was here in person, especially to talk about a lot of the progress on transportation, particularly since I think the entire City of Miami Beach Commission today was nothing but traffic. The only way to fix traffic is to actually get some people out of their cars. And the county's been, if you would just advance, doing quite a lot around that. Go ahead.
We have a fancy keyboard that has a protection on it.
Leave it, keeps the protection out, yeah.
What does that mean? Everything here is fancy.
A lot.
Too fancy.
Too fancy.
There's food over in the corner. There's fancy food and wine, if anybody would like some.
Yeah.
They have red wine, white wine. We're just waiting to get some information back there.
Technology.
There we go.
When it works.
Minimize that, I think. There we go.
There.
So, yeah, go ahead and
Dan
slide.
wants
Let's
to-
get
let
that.
Dan-
So let Danny run this. Danny will run it. You all know Danny, yes? Yes. Beach works for District 5, always here to serve. So there's a ton going on in transportation related at the county. A lot of it's in the newspaper. One of it directly affects Miami Beach. So I thought I'd take a little time talking about where we are with the SMART plan. The SMART plan is 6 corridors designed to basically bring mobility to different parts of the county. I have 4 of the 6 corridors circled there for you all tonight. And the reason I have done that is when I arrived on the commission, none of those had a decision made on them. None of them had the route to funding, and none of them were ever become a reality. And that has completely changed in the past 5 years, where within the next 6 years, we believe all 4 of these corridors can be completed. So the South Corridor, this one here is under construction. It'll open next year. We are stopping at our southernmost Metro Rail station, and it will go all the way down to Florida City. And let me just tell you a little bit about why we worked on this one first. Florida City is our largest, our furthest away municipality. 40% of the residents live in poverty, and they are 40 miles away from our job centers. And I have ridden our buses from Florida City to connect to the train to come to work downtown. In the middle of the afternoon, not in rush hour, one way took me 1 hour and 51 minutes. So when you talk about rapid transportation, sometimes we talk about traffic as an inconvenience. In the case of these folks in South Dade, traffic actually impedes them from getting out of poverty. So the new system, when we have this open in 2024, it will save them 45 minutes each way on their commute. So you're talking about an hour and a half every day if you need to get down. So we're super excited about that. And go ahead, Danny. I think I have some pictures. The Northeast Corridor, I know you guys always talk about Bay Lake and what's happening in MacArthur, but the Northeast Corridor is going to be very important for Miami Beach. Move around if you guys can't see, don't feel obliged.
Move your chairs, it's
No.
okay.
Pretend you're, be at home, in other words. So the Northeast Corridor is basically running up Biscayne Boulevard, more or less, where we have existing train tracks. We opened the first station in December in Aventura of our commuter rail line, and we're going to be building another 5 stations. 2 of those stations, why this matters, is it matters for Miami Beach. One of them will be at about 41st Street, the other will be about 29th Street. And we'll be building an intermodal hub there where our bus riders who come in from 36th Street and anyone that wants to get off that commuter train will be able to immediately come across the tunnel in dedicated bus lanes that should start under construction this year to come across on 41st Street. So it's an important part of connectivity to the northern part of the beach. It's very exciting. We've received $103 million from the state of Florida from FDOT. So thank you, Senator Jones. Thank you, Representative Basawi, for that. And so that work is well underway in Washington. That will allow folks, so Aventura, right now you drive from Aventura to downtown for work, hour and 15 minutes. Now it's 15 minutes. So again, a dramatic difference. This is the kind of stuff that gets people out of their cars, right? When you really make it quicker. Go ahead, Dan, thank you. And the thing that's probably most interesting to everybody in Miami Beach is the Metro River expansion. We have 2 pieces of the expansion of the Metro Mover. The first part is to take it north to the design district, and the second part is to take it and connect it from Miami to Miami Beach. Many of you probably know about 2 years ago, we got a proposal, an unsolicited proposal for a monorail. They offered the monorail at around $400 million, which in transit terms is incredibly inexpensive. It did not give people a one-seat, kind of one-system ride, but at $400 million, we really felt like we needed to look into it because it literally could have saved $1 billion to $2 billion over what the other. So we went ahead and we looked at it, and it ended up these people had no intention of building it. They just kind of wanted one big thing. Every time we negotiated, it went up and up and up. Finally got to $1.3 billion. And so I sat down with the mayor and I said, "This is ridiculous. If we're going to spend $1.3 billion, why don't we get what we want?" Which is the Metro Mover extension, where you get on the Metro Mover and you just come to Miami Beach and you're never having to change vehicles. And so she agreed, and we worked on a design that will do that. So please go ahead, Danny. This right here, this is our Pam and the Frost Museum. And go ahead, Danny, to the next slide. I think it's probably easier to see there. So yeah, this is it. So there. Easier to see the Pam and the Frost. So our existing Metro Mover system is going through downtown and then heads up here towards the Arch Center. And from there, when we build the extension design district, will continue. But we have county-owned right-of-way here just south of the MacArthur to build a bridge over there. And so we could just extend from our existing Metro Mover system very seamlessly. Go ahead, Dan. And continue across the causeway into 5th Street with 2 stations, one on the west side, one on the east side. And I think we have animation next, Danny, is that right? Oh, well, this is the stuff, well, I have to worry about it because it's my budget. The cost of this will be about $1 billion, which is $300 million less than where we were at with the monorail people. But importantly, the operations and maintenance costs every year are a lot less. And so this approach actually saves us $2 billion over 30 years versus the alternative. So the mayor and I are very comfortable canceling the monorail project and moving forward with this project. We've got a completion date of about 2008, 28, 29, so about five years from now, if we get this thing underway now. We almost have all of our environmental permits from the federal government, and we are meeting literally daily with FDOT to get their approvals. And Danny, can you play our little movies? They're made by DTPW, so they don't have any sound. So here's the existing PAM station. And if you're coming from Government Center, you'd be able to take a one-seat ride all the way over to the beach. And then right now, our Metro Mover kind of goes in a circle. And it really mattered to me that we find some kind of switching technology where if you're coming back from the beach, you didn't have to circle all the way around. And so you can see here, whoops, I'll get it in the middle. You can see we've got some switch tracks here. So if you're coming back from Miami Beach and you want to be heading to Brickell or you want to be heading to downtown, switch over and you'll be able to get your one-seat ride to Government Center, which is fantastic because right now your bus riders, a lot of them start at Government Center. And so those folks can get back and forth. We also have the Omni Station where a ton of tourists and lots of low-wage workers start at the Omni Station. So it mattered to me that they got a one-seat ride as well. Here we go, it's big. This is very fancy. I'm not used to the big stuff. So the switching tracks allow them to get a one-seat ride from the Omni Intermodal Center by the Arch Center. And then coming back, if somebody from Miami Beach doesn't want to go south, they want to go north, we've got the switching tracks that can take them back to the Omni Station. And the Omni Station continues obviously the Arch Center and then over to School Board and eventually we'll go up Miami Avenue all the way to the Design District.
What is the timeline?
So the timeline for this, essentially we have spent the past 2 years doing all the engineering and environmental studies. And those are complete and they have been submitted to Coast Guard. We're expecting our bridge permit. They, obviously we need to go through the Federal Transit Administration to get all of the environmental clearances. We're expecting the clearances for this by April. Like April, like April. Yeah, like April. So the pivot from the monorail, I'm not gonna hit anybody, probably slows us down by about 8 or 9 months. Because I need to do another RFP for design build, right? Because now the guideway we're building, our Metro requires way less, which is actually, I think, a great thing. You need less concrete, you need less steel, which is part of why the cost is lower. The other thing is because they are a little shorter and they weigh less, it also makes the station impact on Fifth Street. We have the ability to make our station smaller and, you know, and take up a little space and all less space. So that is a really important thing. We're hoping to get the RFP out within the next 2 weeks. I went to the City of Miami Commission today to present and more or less similarly this presentation. I asked for a resolution of support. You know, we've been talking about this for 33 years and of course they still wanted more time. And as I reminded them, this is why we're waiting for 33 years. So they have agreed that they will put together a resolution of support for the next commission meeting. In exchange, I have agreed to do another community meeting, which anyone you know who's in here tonight is welcome. We're doing it on
February 16th,
February 16th,
Collins Park Library,
5:30.
5:30.
So we'll be there. I'll have my whole transportation team with me that can answer any questions, and we'll be publicizing that throughout the city of Miami Beach, and then be back on the 22nd. But you know, literally all they did was talk about traffic today. And then they kept saying, well, why can't we extend this mover and why can't it go further? And I can tell you, had elected officials, both in the county and in the municipality, made the decision 20 years to do this, we would be talking about the next stations, not the first one. So a decision has to be made. The county has the funding to make this a reality at no cost to Miami Beach, other than what you already pay for it, with a half penny in the sales tax. And we're ready to go, and you could have the first new transit line. But what I showed you in the beginning, what's important is when this would be completed, the South Port will be open. You could literally ride in the Government Center, ride mass transit to Homestead, where they run a free trolley into the Everglades, be hiking in the Everglades. We will have completed the North Corridor, which is a Metro Rail extension that goes to Hard Rock Stadium. You could go to Hard Rock Stadium for $2.25. The Northeast Corridor would be open. You decide you don't want to shop in Miami Beach, you want to go to the Aventura Mall, you could do that. So when we talk about Bailey, we're talking about connecting Miami Beach residents to nearly every place they want to go in the county right now. And that means people here can work almost anywhere, right, and get there. And so it's really important. We as a county are advancing all 4 of those corridors almost simultaneously. We're getting great input from the federal government. I have to go to Washington, I have to go to Tallahassee next week, to Washington the week after that. We believe for all of these, we'll bring home about $4 billion in funding from the feds. We'll continue to get matching funds from the state, Senator Shep, and of course, Representative Kasami. We'll be depending on you. And I'll be up in Tallahassee meeting with the secretary, of the FDOT secretary on this. So we expect this to be funded. These are projects the state likes, they're projects the federal government likes. And if we are bold in actually deciding to build transit versus talking about building transit, our entire county will be transformed. And so obviously I have been here for 5 years. My very first day as an elected official was in a debate where I was being grilled by you people. 5 years ago.
Really well.
Thank you. And I always said, yeah, I got elected, who knew? But I always said transit's a priority because the only way we fix traffic is with transit. So I encourage you to talk to your city of Miami Beach commissioners and tell them to be bold, because otherwise we're going to be sitting here saying the same old
And tell
thing.
them to attend, which is what is a crucial meeting. He seems to have a really good relationship with the state. What do we need to do to help our municipal leaders also have those discussions? And now I know that we're working with all of our state representatives, but what else?
So on this project, it's a county-led project. So, what we need from the city of Miami Beach, what I need from the city of Miami Beach is to go across the causeway to my colleagues and say, the residents of Miami Beach are tired of traffic. They want transit.
To support.
That's what I need from you all, right? I need your permission to do a resolution of support and that they feel comfortable doing that because they feel comfortable you want it, right?
Right.
And I'm not Pollyanna. Some people are gonna hate it, right? Because some people don't want it.
Why
And
would somebody not want it?
listen, change is change. Bear in mind, you all don't live near Fifth Avenue, right? I'm sorry, Fifth Street. I wish I lived near Fifth Avenue, but anyway. I spend too much money shopping, I guess, so better not to. So you have to remember, like, when it is affecting your street and your neighborhood, you have a different level of questions and worries, right? And so, and it matters, and they don't know because they don't have a Metro over there now. I happen to live 2 blocks from Metro over. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, right? I don't drive hardly anywhere when I am on the city of Miami side. I get very.
Has the location been identified on Fifth Street?
Yes, we have 2. It's probably in the middle. We have 2. One will be sort of towards the west side, near Meridian and Lenox. The other will be at Washington, would be the terminus. And then we realized, and let me just give you an example. I rode the bus from Government Center with all of your workforce the other night to come to my town hall to talk about this. And this was a very calm evening. There was nothing going on at Bayfront Park. There was nothing at the arena. There was nothing at the art center. And quite frankly, there was nothing going on the beach. So it was a perfect traffic-free night, right? It took me 41 minutes to get to where that first stop would be. This system would deliver a person there in less than 15 minutes. So from your workforce's perspective, those folks can spend an hour less a day commuting. And also, it's fast enough now that it suddenly incentivizes tourists to possibly take it back and forth, right? Versus hopping in an Uber or renting a car. So there's real, there's real improvements in people's daily lives. And then we need to, as we arrive, we're going to have to readjust our bus routes, and City of Miami Beach will adjust their trolley routes so that, we're picking people up when they get there and taking them. We have also put in our budget $30 million to look at what Washington Avenue might need, because we probably would want to have maybe a dedicated bus lane going up to the convention center and up to the hotels up in Washington. There's also some really interesting, I just went to Jacksonville last week to look at some autonomous vehicles that are super cool and kind of sexy if we wanted to have some kind of convention center shuttle. So we have $30 million to work with the city of Miami Beach on how that might be. But this is a real project that could really happen. at the same time as the north quarter, the northeast quarter, and the south quarter. And so I encourage you to think about it. I encourage you to ask me questions. I encourage you to tell your neighbors about it. But this is an opportunity, and I can tell you on the other side of the causeway, I have other projects I can fund, and so do other commissioners. So it is really important that we seize the moment, take advantage of it. The infrastructure law, let's remember, it's a 5-year bill, $1.3 trillion with more money for public transportation than has ever been allocated in the United States of America. Your money's over. If we don't build this stuff in the next 4 years, that money's never going to be there again. So we can't be dilly-dallying with this question. I'm worried about that, or these pink paints, or like, we'll figure out the color of the paint over time. But we need to get this, under procurement. So I'm happy to answer questions. Please, I'll have everybody you want on the 16th. Metro River upgrade. We actually are spending $150 million upgrading our control system now on this, so that it will be able to do this. Right now, we wouldn't really be able to have a Miami Beach Direct, which is how you get that like 14, 15-minute trip. But when this is installed, it's already being installed. And so that will be completed within the next 2 years, and give us the opportunity for express service, which we don't have now. Okay, then I'm going to skip to something here. The county has been very successful in one program, which is emergency rental relief. During the pandemic, we were one of the counties that distributed all of our funds, as we continue, as a result of having been a good steward of the federal funds for rental assistance, continue to get more and more cash infusion. So if anyone you know of is struggling to pay their rent due to issues with the pandemic or things like that, there is certainly an income limitation. It's about 140% of AMI on the county money and 80% on the federal money of AMI. So it is designed, for workers and lower income folks and maybe some seniors. But if anyone's behind, we still have emergency rental assistance. There's a phone number you call. Danny can hook you up with that. So spread the word on that. Now, important for condos, this is funded by the county, and I'm not going to tell you we have all the money to solve everybody's problems in the world here, but it's a program that we started this year, we funded in the budget, to help condo owners in light of the Surfside tragedy. A lot of condos are now going through this process, and some of the special assessments are going way the heck up. And so we have put together a program. I think, Dan, you passed out the
Yes,
facts.
the white sheet of paper is a program overview.
And
Yes.
so
Have them to do.
So there is the ability, again, subject to some income limitations, to help people who their assessments have gone up for structural stuff, right? And so they should call, and I know Miami Beach residents that have already worked through the process, and it's rare, I even got sort of a nice compliment of, hey, the process wasn't as bureaucratic as I thought it would be. So anyway, and then we do have, if you have any questions on that now, I think, do we still have Mr. Sops on the? I knew he had to leave, but we had someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adrian?
If you have any questions.
Adrian's there.
No, if you have any questions, Mr. Stops from our housing department is on there, and he could explain it. If not, we can give you his email. Yeah, Michael.
I'd like more information. You sent it to me, and also it says up to 140% of AMI, I guess.
Can you say
Yeah.
it so that Mr. Stops can hear you?
Yeah, the question that I've been getting is, it says up to, that it will provide it if you earn 240% of the Miami-Dade County income limit. People have been asking what that is for single people and families. So I think that would be helpful for people to know if they qualify.
The number, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, we can certainly send you that. It varies by household size. And so 140%, I think, is, I'm
I don't know, I can't say.
it's probably like around 120,000 a year for a family of 4, that kind of a thing. So what a working family would make, but we have an actual list of what that means if you're a 1-person household, a 2-person household, a 3-person household. But if there's any technical questions, we can, give you Mr. Stops' email. He's here tonight. Maybe you want to ask more privately, and then we'll at least let him go home. So
I'm gonna put his email in the chat.
Okay, all right, thank you for being here, we'll let you go home. But any questions, I'm not an expert on the program, Danny probably knows, well, as usual, on anything, Danny always knows more than I know, so nothing has changed since you met me last. And we'll put anyone in contact, but it's designed for condo units, it's the first time we're doing it. We don't have, hundreds of millions of dollars like we did in the ERAP program. But we have this funding in it, and it should be there to help people. Okay, Danny is typing in Mr. Sean Tops's email.
Were you gonna get the PDF up also?
Well, I would have
We'll
to,
email,
I
we'll
would
email
have
it.
to,
You're gonna share the slideshow so we can post
We're
it on our
gonna, yeah,
website.
we'll share it,
Yes,
we'll share
and
it.
then I'll give you all the program overview and
Okay.
Yeah.
the AMI numbers.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to update, of course, I'll answer any questions on anything you want to hear about, but after the pandemic, the Biden administration passed the American Rescue Plan, and that has been used for a lot of things. Each of us in the county commission got $2 million to create programming, and unlike the CARES Act, which had to be immediate aid, like you have to help you today, ARPA could be invested. And so my team and I have created what we call Elevate District 5, and it is a suite of programs for small business owners, solo entrepreneurs in District 5, because during the pandemic, we realized we had everything from people that businesses weren't even registered, right? And they couldn't apply for anything. They couldn't apply for a mom and pop grant, they couldn't apply for EIDL, they couldn't apply for PPP. So we've launched a suite of programs at no cost to the business owner that they can participate in at whatever skill level they are. So particularly in technology, there were a lot, we have both in English and Spanish, depending on the business owner, a tech academy. It's reasonably basic, although I've been pleasantly surprised some people are more sophisticated also like it, but I have some businesses that are not sophisticated at all. We're doing a finance master class. These businesses were not able to generate their own financial statements. As a result, they couldn't apply for any loans. And so we have a financial master class, which also enables them to use QuickBooks at the end. And we managed to negotiate 1 year free QuickBooks for those folks. So that's very nice. Got a number of digital marketing programs. Yes, some Miami Beach residents participating in those already. Digital marketing, we've got two. One is BizHack, kind of finding customers online. We have an advanced one. Many companies didn't know how to pivot to e-commerce. Also, we have a special scale-up class that just launched. We'll do it again next year, but this is through Miami-Dade College. Several Miami Beach businesses are in there, but these are folks that are ready to go to the next level. They get advanced coaching. Again, as part of this cohort, we've got a cohort in English, a cohort in Spanish, depending on the business owner's skills. You can always become a county vendor if you don't know how. We can help you do that. And then access to capital is a big deal. What I learned during COVID was most of our small business owners, for years, if they needed capital, they actually just put it on their credit card, which is not good. So we are launching this spring an Elevate District 5 microloan program. And this will be kind of entry-level credit for people, for business owners. Might be a $3,000 loan, can even go up to $10,000 loan. It's their first ability. They get to work. We have partners for self-employment that will be administering the program. They get to do this. They get their startup at beginning to get credit, repay that, end up having a credit rating as a business, not the person, so that the business can do this. That would allow them to apply for what's called the Rise Miami-Dade Fund, which is the fund that I started during the pandemic with $25 million in capital. It was the first revolving loan fund that's specifically designed for businesses with less than 10 employees in Miami-Dade County. And I remember when I did it, I met with every banker and they said, you're going to have a 50% default rate because you're creating a loan fund for small businesses with low credit ratings. But we had the rule that they had to have been in business for over 2 years. And we have not even had a 10% default rate. So it's as good as any bank's loan. And as a result, it's revolved and it continues. But they can loan up to $35,000, $45,000, $50,000. But if you don't have the credit for and And then last but not least, we have the SBA. So instead of taking our businesses in District 5 and moving them up to where they want to open another location, some of them, if they could just hire another employee, but they can't front the first 6 months of salary. So it's a very robust suite of programs. We have a network of now several hundred businesses that have supported. So if you or anyone else know about it, participate. We're going to have it going for another couple of years. And it's really for District 5 businesses, but we also tend to be a little weak, and we often let people in from others. So if you know other businesses in Miami Beach that might be in D4, if they're in the city of Miami Beach, just let us know, and if we have space, we'll fit them in. And we have a website for Elevate District 5, and this is all, we have even a QR code. So there you go. That's how fancy it is. And is that my last slide?
Yes.
Okay, so those are kind of a lot going on in transit, a lot going on with small businesses to support. Please take advantage of it. And if folks are struggling and are behind on rent and assessments, call us. If we can help, we will. And that's sort of the theme of this. There's other things going on. Anyway, questions, comments, other things.
No, but I think the MBNA can certainly support the Metro Mover initiative, and we can post on website, and maybe what we can work on as a board is a resolution to present to the city so that we can show the support. I think it's vital that we do that as different communities, neighborhood associations. So if we want it, they'll listen. So let's do that.
Okay.
And we vouch to do that.
And then we'll send you the
We
information.
can
of the
actually,
public
Annie, if you
meeting.
want to make a motion now and have the,
Is there a motion?
I would
Lisa Casanova would like to make a motion. What's your motion?
So what I'll make a motion that the MBNA support the county's initiative. I'm not gonna say Commissioner Higgins, but
No,
the county's initiative to expand Metro Mover to Miami Beach to help alleviate the traffic and the congestion that we're experiencing, and that we will issue a resolution in the near future or as needed to go ahead and do that and present it to the commission.
Okay,
That's a long one, but we'll shorten.
There's a motion on the table for MBNA to develop a resolution in support of Metro Rail expansion into Miami Beach.
I'll second that, or someone else.
Esteban Porcelli is second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
And you have a
I
question?
have two questions.
Yes.
One is about the Metro Mover. Did you consider autonomous vehicles instead of the Metro Mover?
So.
They're not quite ready for
I'm
prime
sorry,
time.
Yeah.
just for the recording, what is the question?
So I was curious for the Metro Mover, if you considered autonomous vehicles instead of the Metro Mover.
So this is fascinating you asked that question, because I literally went to Jacksonville on Friday to look at their autonomous vehicle system that they're going to be transitioning to. For us, we would have to rip out our entire track system to do it for an elevated system with autonomous vehicles. And because we purchased all new Metro Mover cars, so our cars are pretty new, kind of 5 years old, and we're spending $150 million on the upgrade. It really doesn't make sense to move to those new autonomous vehicles at this time from a financial perspective, but on the elevated piece. But as I was saying, like, there is AV technology, who knows what the cost of it is and the practicality of this for possibly a place like Washington Avenue. So there's a lot of interesting things going on with AV in Jacksonville, I think, as far as I know, not that I know everything, is doing some pretty interesting work in that field. And you had another question.
And the other question was, for your chart for the county transportation, you had 2 going north, 2 going south, but what about east and west?
Well, good Lord, that is a good question. East-west it's been very interesting. We have a study on the east-west corridor that is connecting kind of out to Doral, and that is in process. We have all new commissioners now in that district. And then the Kendall corridor is another corridor that, Kendall Drive, it's just horrible, right? We need, but those residents are not yet convinced. The only way to build mass transit is to take a lane away. Right? That's it. We cannot create space, right? There are houses here, there are houses here, there are businesses here, there are businesses here. We're not going to demolish your house, right? That's ridiculous. So in order to build rapid transit, you have to take space away. And they are very, very, very nervous about that. So right now, there's not a lot of consensus about that. I have, about a month ago, resuscitated a project on Flagler to connect downtown to FIU via bus rapid transit on Flagler Street. And that could probably be a project that we could get done for $400 million. And it would not be as dramatic as kind of elevated sort of thing, but it probably could cut 30 minutes off the trip between downtown and FIU, which is pretty dramatic if, you know, if you're a student and you don't have a car, and that's what you're doing, and all the places in between there. And we just had generational change on our county commission with new commissioners, and so I've had really good sunshine meetings with them. And I think the three colleagues and I will be able to collaborate to bring Flagler, because we seem to be committed, the three of us, to saying the only way we're going to get rid of traffic is to get people out of their cars, and we're going to get people out of their cars is to give them faster transportation, because people care about time. And so I think we will have something. My guess is we'll have a resolution at our transportation planning organization in March on that, on Flagler. So I'm going to shepherd Flagler, but there's a couple of other commissioners that need to shepherd the rest. I've got 4 of my 4, and not all. So anyway, somebody else has to help.
Thank you. So actually, Miami Beach is about to lose its best east-west connection. The 150 Express bus by the Better Bus, what's it called, Better Bus Network? They have targeted the 150 Express for termination.
So with the Better Bus Network, which is not really rolling out for another year, but the Better Bus Network, just let me start with the county, right? First of all, Miami Beach has the best bus service of any other place in the county, right? Start with that. We have not redesigned our bus network in over 40 years. And literally there are parts of the county that exist that do not have bus service. And so that cannot happen. And 80% of the county's transit riders ride the bus, right? And why are they on the bus? Is it a nice experience? No, right? It's because they are very low income, or quite frankly, they're working someplace like Miami Beach where they can't afford to live and they can't afford to park. And so they travel very, very long distances. So this was a very data-based analysis of how do we get people to have high frequency bus service. And what we're trying to do with all of our routes is move from low frequency service to high frequency service. And how we're defining high frequency service is less than 15 minutes wait at lunchtime, so not in rush hour. Okay. That means your connections to everywhere in the county on the Better Bus Network, 380,000 people, more people have access to high frequency bus service under that. Now, as I said before, it means there's change involved. The 150 is something that people are passionate about, but doesn't have any ridership.
It's one of the top 5 used buses in the county.
But if we run the statistics, and we're doing a combination of ways to get different people, so there'll be all new buses, and there'll be a major rollout in this to make this happen. But you will find that Miami Beach residents will have better service when this is implemented, not lesser service. And we also need the dedicated bus lanes, because we are going to be implementing different bus services across the tunnel. Matter of fact, the Tuttle Shuttle, the Tuttle Express just started today. We ran our test run with a soft launch.
So after you do your soft launch, or you roll out this better network and bus system for Miami Beach.
For the whole county.
For the whole county, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
We're only interested in 24. I'm just kidding. But for Miami Beach, when you roll out all of that, if the community feels that we don't have a good connection to the airport, or that 150 is really missing, will there be an opportunity?
There's certainly opportunities to do this. Now, we have done a lot of analysis of who rides the bus to the airport, and it is workers. It is, right? The workers, right? And so we have other points of connection for them to help to get there, right? So that in our mind, the idea that tourists ride the bus.
Well, some of the folks in this room do.
Yes,
So
I agree. I agree, but
It's the minority, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's a minority, I'm saying we're dealing with a bus system that doesn't serve low-income people. And we're trying to get a bus system that serves people in Kendall, because right now, we'll have them coming on 87th Avenue, and if they need to switch to go east and west, they have 45-minute connection. So we are trying to balance the needs of everybody in the county.
Understood.
And on Collins Avenue, your service is going to improve dramatically. It's almost every 5 minutes, almost 24 hours a day. Right? So it's a balancing act of how do we,
So at this point, we're
Do that.
trusting that what you all have crafted will be better and more convenient for us than what we have now. I think there's just that anxiety because the one route that we do use or the one route that folks rely on is being removed. And so there is a little bit of, which we don't know how much we should trust or if we should advocate strongly now for it, but we will wait and see until that's done. And actually, maybe we won't, Jason, and continue to.
yeah, no, listen, we're going to see how it goes, but you know, we have people that are traveling on the bus for hours. And we did we have the bus on shoulder lanes that opened today. Today was, as I said, the tunnel shuttle. So I'm doing a little soft launch, tried it out. I saw the bus today when it's coming over, so that was pretty fun. So there's a lot of solutions on the tunnel, and particularly when we get these dedicated bus lanes built. And I think what you're going to see there, we will be able to, when those dedicated bus lanes are built, particularly with some more work up on the Golden Glades, a lot of your workers are coming down I-95 and then coming across. And we still, in high impact weekends, our buses move pretty slowly. So that needs, that will help.
I don't know what the total show is, but,
Express bus service on the tunnel to go between Miami Beach
and where?
over onto Biscayne and then connecting to Metro Rail, which goes to the airport.
So, no offense, but I'm not trusting this when we fix it. We had the Better Bus Network come here and talk, I think, in June. And when we asked them about what the replacement for 150 Express, and they had over a month to think about it, their answer is, not.
We get ready to roll this out. Quite frankly, we're not able to roll it out because we don't have enough bus drivers. In doing this, the county added $30 million in bus service in the county, a lot of which is being spent in Miami Beach, right? But that means we need to hire more bus drivers, and that's been hard during this time to do it. And so we've done a number of things with scheduling. So we just freed up about 45 bus drivers, but we need about another 70. So it will be some time before that does, and nothing will be rolled out without coming in and coming back to folks. But routes are going to change. Like the S and the C might be called the 1, and people are going to hate that too. So change. It's going to be changed. There's going to be hiccups, and we'll adjust if anything is dramatically wrong.
Anything?
Family of 4 for an AMI of 140%. And Lori said she was also interested in hearing this was 136,500. Single is 95,000.
Yeah, at 140.
At 140. For all your single ladies, yeah, this and that. We have a question on the chat. Commissioner, are you done with your presentation?
Yeah, I'm done.
What? How about, did I miss it?
No.
No. Commissioner Bacon?
What are we doing?
Help us out.
With what?
So we heard that you all had workshops for the condo legislation, for what the requirements to record and what's in.
So I don't have the actual dates of this. I know RER, I've asked our Department of RER to try to do some community workshops.
Oh, okay, but it
So,
hasn't happened yet.
I actually don't know the answer to that question. But they are supposed to have a schedule. We can check with that.
We were just.
And then also interesting, I had a conversation with Representative Vicki Lopez. My district, my district goes through a lot of it is over in the city of Miami, which also has a lot of condos. And of course, when the insurance, the so-called insurance reform bill, to use the term loosely, from the special session came through, you know, if you live on the 29th floor, you're required to have flood insurance. So they really did not do that with condos in mind. And so Representative Lopez has said to me, it's one of the things she'd like to try to nuance and get fixed for us up there. And so I'll see her again when I'm up there on Wednesday, and I'll try to get more information on that as well.
Okay, so there's possibly some workshops coming up. I have a question for all of the condominiums between 24th and 63rd. Is there a database that's public facing that we would be able to know who's in compliance and who is not, and how MBNA can help support condominiums?
I don't know the answer. I mean, if this is something you want to do, I would just have someone at your next meeting from our building RER program. And then don't forget, some of it might be in a database from City of Miami Beach. So whatever answer I'm going to give you is going to be a halfway answer. So we gotta get a real person.
We can have someone.
Yeah, we're gonna do March meetings. It's going to probably, we haven't decided yet, but we were thinking might be virtual, but that's something we'd like to follow, if that's okay with you.
No, we'll get someone that actually knows what they're talking about, rather than me. To answer your questions.
Well, thank you for that. Any other questions for the commissioner? Okay, virtually, I do see something on the chat, but it's not directed to Commissioner Higgins. Is there any other questions for Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Higgins, you have a question?
Yeah.
When are you?
I'm just waving at the owl.
When are you up for reelection?
2024.
So a year and a half.
Yeah.
A year and a half.
On the first round, it's like every other first round in August. If there's a runoff, November.
Okay, and then you term out?
Yes. Yeah, so this is my first term. I've served the first 2 years as special, and so, so that didn't count inexplicably. So this is my first term, even though I won re-election, and I just started my 3rd year of this, so I have 2 more years here, and then I'll be on the ballot in August. Yeah, next year, not this August.
Thank you for always taking the
Thank
time.
you.
to come and meet
No,
us.
thank
Yes,
you.
we've
We've always been here for it.
Aaron, one more question.
Yeah.
What's going on with the western boundary? I mean, West Africa, the western boundary of the town.
Oh, the urban development boundary.
Yes, thank you.
Well, there's a lot of things that are going on that I don't like. There are a number of my colleagues that have decided it's a really good idea to develop outside the urban development boundary, and we are beginning to, I vote no, so I'm not part of this plan. There has been a number of passing of developments outside the urban development boundary that have gone through, much to my chagrin. The mayor's even vetoed them, and they have overridden her veto. So I'm very disappointed in this behavior. You can depend on me to not do it. There's a couple reasons for this. You know, guess what, peeps? Climate change is real. The water is coming. For some of us, the water is already here, depending on our neighborhood. And I don't think we have the resiliency plans in place to protect what we already have. And so there is no way I'm going to vote to have more stuff left unprotected in what really could be valuable wetlands, particularly for water absorption. So you're right to be watching this news. The mayor and I have stood pretty strongly on that, and we have an interesting coalition on it. The commissioner from Hialeah, Renee Garcia, on. So, you know, we just have some folks that really believe in environmentalists and some other folks that believe we should be building anywhere that, I guess, some lobbyists decides they want to do it. So it's not, in my opinion, not good. Interestingly, the state actually is trying on some of the water stuff to give us a break on that, but it's not. I'm just not happy, but yeah, I can't. You win some, you lose some. It's a democracy, but on this side of democracy, we're not winning on saving the environment outside as we get closer to the Everglades. And some parts of the urban development, we always think it's the western boundary. A lot of it is close to Biscayne Bay. So they just approved a 900-acre thing that basically is on the bay. So I find it awful.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's no plans, just in my opinion, it's land speculation.
Thank you for the question and for the discussion. And the environment is very close to many MidBeachers' hearts, so thank you for that. One last round of applause for the commissioner. your way
Yes.
out.
I ate sandwich.
We, if everyone notices, we did not have a particular sponsor today, so MBNA sponsored your wines and snacks. Give it up for MBNA. Before we conclude tonight's meeting, we last night had a wonderful transportation meeting. Do we have, I thought I saw Jose Gonzalez on there earlier. Is he still with us? Do you want to take the computer? Because I think it's gonna-
It's a comfortable chair.
It is. Thank you, Danny.
Don't worry, Danny, you'll be back.
Thank you, Danny.
Yes, we will. Is Jose Gonzalez here with us?
No.
No.
No, they're all, everybody's there.
Okay, great. So the answer to your question, Susanna, is all on our website, midbeach.net. It shows what we discussed last night and the timeline for everything that it will begin tonight. Where they're gonna close 2 lanes and leave 1 lane open from 58th to 63rd. The lanes will open at 6 a.m. We'll be working around the clock for the next 2 weeks. And they will finish the project before February 15th, more likely February 12th, if not sooner. If you have any questions or are not able to locate that exact link, I believe also we posted it on our chat earlier today. We'll be happy to do that. Now, one last item that I know we wanted to discuss today was the condo laws for the condominiums. Michael, I apologize, this is very impromptu, but Michael Mora, would you be willing to share a little bit? I know you've done workshops for other people and they probably pay you for it, but we were just like.
Oh, here's a mic, Michael, sorry.
All right. Thank you. All right, thank you. How many of you live in condominiums or own condominiums? Okay, me too. Probably in all my years of practicing condo law, the most significant legislation happened last year when they called that special session. We thought we were getting insurance reform, but instead we got building reform. And there's some good things in there, but there's also some very potentially expensive things in there. The 2 things that are required is number 1, buildings are going to have this milestone inspection report. That's a term you're going to start hearing a lot about. When you're supposed to have it is not entirely clear because part of the statute says you have to have it by the end of 2024. But another portion of the statute says you need to do it within 180 days of local government notifying you that you need to get it done. So we're hopeful that the state may give us some answer here on this report. So what is the report? You got to hire an engineer or architect. They need to come in and do a phase 1 inspection of your property. Phase 1 is a visual. If they look at your property and think it's fine, that's it. I don't think many engineers are going to walk in and just do a visual inspection. So you're most likely going to have to do a phase 2, and that's up to the engineer, and that can include destructive testing, X-ray, whatever they determine is needed to determine the safety of your building. That report will be provided to the association, to the local government. In addition, the buildings will have to publicize it. You will have to post it wherever you're required to normally post your meeting notices. You've got to disseminate it to your unit owners, either by mail or email, if you have email consents. If you're building 150 units or more, it has a website. You got to post it on the website. That's the cutoff to have a website under Florida law. And this interesting thing, they've expanded the amount of years you got to keep it as an official record. You have to keep it now for 15 years, which is different from all other Florida law. All other records only have to be kept for 7, except for election stuff. You only got to keep that 1 year because it changes year by year. So that's kind of milestone inspection 101. The other major change was really about reserve studies. You've got to have these structural integrity reserve studies. Under the current law, you only really had to reserve the 4 components. I believe it's roof, paint, elevators, any item of $10,000 or over. Now, under the new law, you're going to have this really expansive list of 10 items that the building's going to have a reserve study for. The law also lacks a little bit of clarity in this regard because it doesn't say who does them. There's no requirement that you be an engineer. Anybody could really do it in theory. So there is some like wiggle room, I guess, if you want to use that term, as to who can perform these studies. It also includes most of the components of the building, but another kind of glitch in that law that was passed quickly is they've added windows as an item that you have to have in your structural integrity reserve. That's confusing for condo lawyers like me, because not all buildings, the association maintains the windows. Many buildings, unit owners have to maintain their own windows. So we're kind of wondering, is the state legislature trying to flip all window responsibility on the building, no matter what your condo docs say? Another weird glitch is that even though it includes windows, it doesn't mention sliding glass doors, which are defined separately under the law. So you don't have to reserve for those, apparently. So these are the big things about those reports. Now, the most shocking part for a lot of people, including people like me who live in an older building, is that they're saying after January 31st, 24, you can no longer waive or reduce your reserves. That can be a very big financial burden on buildings. Like I live here on Collins Avenue in a 1970s building that carries no reserves. We're about to do our 50-year certification, so hopefully our building will be okay and not that expensive after this is done. But for older buildings and especially for retired people, this can have a huge financial impact. Maybe the county money can help some. I don't qualify, Commissioner Higgins.
Your job.
The last thing I'll say, which maybe should have been the first thing I said, was it changed the timeline for certifications. Miami-Dade and Broward County were the only counties in Florida that previously required 40-year certifications. For those of us that work in the industry, that was the big buzz term. Well, in light of what happened in Champlain, the state made it a state law now that you have to do your certifications everywhere, and you have to do it after 30 years, unless you're within 3 miles of the coastline. Hello, that's all of Miami Beach. So we have to do it after 25 years. So they shorten the timeline. And then for buildings that are in that gap time, between 25 and 40 years, they kind of set January 31st, 24 as your deadline to get it done. If you're a building that's over 40 years, your timelines are the same. They're not changing. Really, the ones most impacted are obviously those under 40 years, because you're now moving to certified buildings soon. No, you got it. I thought that was pretty good off the cuff.
Yes, it is.
It has 10 components. Electrical is one of them. And there's kind of a catch-all phrase. It's any component of the building that costs $10,000 or more to replace. So it's kind of almost everything is going to have to be part of that structural integrity reserve study now that the building will have to do, maintain, and after starting January 1st, 25, you're going to have to reserve for. I think you're going to see, people are always looking for ways not to spend money. This is what my experience of condo lands has taught me. So the two things that I anticipate happening is because the cutoff in the law is December 31st, 24, I think you might see a lot of buildings holding their annual budget meeting in December of 23, so they don't have to deal with this. December of 24, so you don't have to deal with this for a while. You might see a lot of meetings happening in that month, because then you get to push off this whole concept. Number two, I think you're going to see issues with the reserve study, because there's really no requirement on who does them. Do you think right now, you're our condo leaders right now, are you required to do a reserve study?
We do it annually. No, we do it annually.
You all do it because you are good and you are fiscally and otherwise responsible. But before this law, you didn't have to have a reserve study at all. Nobody had to do it. Building, board members, management, you could kind of just assign numbers to the reserves as you all deemed fit in your business judgment. So this law does now require a study. It just doesn't really define who does the study. And interestingly, because when it comes to the milestone report, you got to keep it as a public record and post it everywhere and tell everybody about it. But your structural integrity reserve study, you don't have to post. You don't get, it doesn't get sent to the local government. It doesn't, have to be disseminated to unit owners. So, I have condo clients now that shall remain nameless that do reserve studies and they don't like them. And since there's no requirement that they even do one at all under the law, if somebody brings one back that's too high, the board scraps it and hires another company.
We have a question in the chat. It says the problem isn't reserves in condos. It is negligence and recklessness of not fixing critical infrastructure violations and giving the bill to residents. More reserves is just more opportunity for impropriety, not compliance with safety. From Paul, and Paul, I apologize if you'd like to share that, you can, I'm sure you'll do a better job.
That is one of the thoughts. This law kind of ends the whole debate on reserves. Prior to this law, I talk a lot about to reserve or not reserve. And I didn't really have a strong opinion. I know the state has a strong opinion now, because I think if you're an owner, you can vote whether you want to have reserves or not. We own property, we're adults. And if not, we don't have reserves, then we know when something happens, we're going to be financially responsible eventually through a special assessment or some other type of payment. But the state doesn't want to leave that option open. They just want the reserve no matter what. And I think Paul's concern is what some residents express. They don't trust the board. They don't want them holding on to the reserve money. They would just rather, when you need it, assess me that.
Any other questions on this item? Yes, one in the back, Manny.
He feels like he's still done.
Marina doesn't even know who that is.
I know. The young people don't know what's going on.
So do you see associations that can't afford the special assessment to correct all of these things?
Manny, can you answer your question a little bit closer to the mic?
To the
Just because
mic.
it's hard to hear you.
You need a mic.
Yes, so do you see associations not being able to afford some of these fixes that they need to do, being terminated and having, free for all sell off of condos along the beach and opportunities for developers to come in and just take over many buildings?
Short answer, yes. It is going to happen. I've been talking with people here at this meeting tonight that their buildings are being eyed by developers currently. As deferred maintenance becomes impossible to keep deferring, you're going to see people turn to developers to have fixed that. You see it very close by you all at La Casa that was sold to Mass Capital. They terminated, and we see it when we walk on the beach walk. They got to pay that one guard to sit there and watch the building. And I think eventually it's coming down and something new will be built. Lots of buildings have been in the newspaper with offers. Castle Beach was eyeing one from Related Group, and many others. So yeah, it is something that I do believe you're going to see more of. And I think it's an unintended consequence of that bill, because when people are faced with increasing assessments or special assessments, sometimes the easiest thing is to sell.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what's happening.
Do I get one CD credit, please? Do I get a CD credit, please?
And you're going to see how we for this.
CE credits for everybody from Becker.
Correct. December 31st of 2024. So there's 2 sessions between now and then. The state may pick this back up and address some of these issues. They don't seem like it currently, but if there's enough of an outpour, they may extend the deadline. Remember how they did that to us with the fire retrofitting? They were always like, it's coming, and then at the last minute, you get an extension, maybe it'll be one of those things, but they seem pretty serious. It's passed pretty overwhelmingly bipartisan support. So the state is telling us what they want. The amount full, you have to have full reserves. So those 10 items that are on the structural integrity reserve studies
whatever those items are, which is almost everything in the building, you're gonna have somebody tell you, let's say the building, I'm picking numbers out of thin air, your building costs 5 million to repair it and replace it. So if you have nothing, then that's $5 million you need to put in. If they tell you your building has a 5-year useful life, then you're gonna have to start reserving $1 million a year towards the roof. And you're gonna have to go through each of the components and add that up. And then on top of your regular maintenance, they're going to calculate what the reserve assessment would be. So for many buildings, quite literally, your assumptions could potentially fail. Anyone else? Hey, well, thank you. I didn't expect Condo 101, but I love it.
Every item tonight, there is still a lot of wine and sandwiches and fruit left over. Please grab some before you go. Any other comments from those that are with us virtually? Thank you for being with us, the hybrid crew. Anything else? Any final words from Michelle, from our board member?
I lost my voice, but I think, yeah, I just want to say it's very important. What they were saying earlier, that they're going to look into, that you're doing the reserve studies for those people who cannot reserve for the condominiums, which is very important.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That is important. We're going to continue to follow up and let all of our members know about it. Any final comments from any other board members? A special thank you to FSR and the team here at Diamond. They put the team together. Higgins' presentation. Moving forward, Danny asked us about 6 times this week if we had it, and so we had to make sure it was here. And we're it's always it will for your next meeting next year. There you go.
That's what it's for.
Tell Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you all.